Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Tri-County Logging. Experienced in sustainable forestry practices, Tri-County Logging can help you manage your property by keeping your woods healthy and generate income. Serving southern and mid-Michigan for nearly 50 years, TriCountyLogging.com.
Hi everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Silik and we've got an all-new show in store for you this week, and it's all about fishing. I'll take you out on the Detroit River with a great group of guys for some of that world-class walleye fishing that's happening right now. You won't want to miss that story, and Jimmy's going to be talking fishing this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have another story on this week's show. I'm just getting off the water doing a little big lake fishing down here in the southern end of Lake Michigan. But the story we're going to have on this week's episode is really a roundtable discussion with some charter boat captains talking about what they're excited about when it comes to the Lake Michigan fishery and some of the stuff they're worried about. So lots of good information on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream. It's the love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor and Michigan destination since 1988. Offers a variety of homemade smoked meats and Michigan-made products in-store and online. The Country Smokehouse features an outdoor barbecue and bar. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Greenmark Equipment. Greenmark Equipment is a John Deere dealership network in southwest Michigan and northern Indiana. Greenmark provides sales and services to farmers, commercial businesses, large property owners, and homeowners. Information about pricing and products available can be found online at greenmarkequipment.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons. AnglerQuest is a Michigan-based company building boats designed for comfort and fishing functionality. For more information about the 2022 models, anglerquestpontoons.com. By Polarcraft Boats, offering riveted and welded boats for the outdoor enthusiast. Whether you're targeting fish or waterfowl, Polarcraft Boats have several models to choose from that keep you high and dry. For more information, polarcraft.com.
Lake Erie Metro Park this morning. We're doing a little pre-fishing for the MWT. Hopefully we can get out here and find some fish. It's been a tough week for everybody. I guess yesterday the fish really started to turn on, get into the river. So we're going to see what we can do and get after them. I got Jay Thornburg and Wes Smith on my team. We're all fishing today. Should be a good day, interesting. We've been scrambling around getting all our gear ready for today and the rest of the weekend, but it'll be fun.
As we made our way from the launch to the river, Wes gave us the rundown on the team's game plan for the morning.
So we'll start in Trent Channel and just check the shallows and see if there's any of those big fish either spawning or just drop the eggs. That should be a fun time. Usually this time of year, that's where the bigger fish lay, in those shallow waters, so that's what heats up faster.
It's pretty exciting to be pre-fishing for a big tournament, and for Chris, it's something he's always wanted to do.
I am originally from southwest Michigan, moved to Lansing in the late 90s, and I've been in the Lansing area ever since. I grew up fishing rivers, lakes, and streams all around the west side of the state, and I got a buddy 10, 15 years ago that got me into open water walleye fishing, and I've been hooked on it ever since. As a team, we actually, Jay and I have been fishing together for at least 10 years now, about 10 years now, and then we met Wes at another tournament, and we just clicked. We all got together and just been fishing with each other ever since.
These guys have a lot of fun fishing together, but managed to stay focused on finding the big fish for the weigh-ins. What's going on, Chris?
Well, I guess we're going to move on down the river. This spot here is unproductive this morning.
For tournament fishing, anglers typically spend 2 days of pre-fishing before the competition starts. During the pre-fishing days, teams make quick work of moving around the river to locate fish, test out different presentations, and of course, to find the bigger fish that have moved into the system. Today was a bit of a challenge.
We hit a couple different spots. We started out in the Trenton Channel, a little snaggy up there, but we were able to, check the area. We saw a couple fish caught, but we didn't pick up anything. We shot down to mid-river. We were able to put a couple fish in the boat, jigging. We haven't really tried anything else other than jigging today, but we were able to cover a couple different places in the area, checking for water clarity, water temperature, really just to see where the fish are staging at before the tournament. We definitely don't want to leave anything at home. We carry a little bit of everything. We all are kind of trollers by nature, but we love the river. We love the challenge of trying to pick up fish in the river and finding new areas to fish in the river. We've got planer boards, we've got jigging rods, we've got hand lining reels. We plan on throwing the kitchen sink at these fish to make it happen.
The guys were keeping a few fish for the frying pan today and throwing most back. With their new team comes a new name.
Angler Alliance was something we've been throwing around team names for a while, and it just popped. That was the one that kind of stuck with us because we all are from different areas of Michigan, but we all have a passion to be able to share it with everybody else, kids, adults, anybody that's interested in it.
Go. Getting a little bigger. They keep getting bigger each time. We'll be okay.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Yeah.
The Michigan Walleye Tour is one of the largest walleye tournaments on the Great Lakes, and these guys are pretty excited to be taking part in all the action this year.
We are actually fishing all 4 tournaments this year. Yep, we got a few sponsors, which help definitely cover a lot of the cost for these type of tournaments and stuff like that. We do fish other smaller tournaments in the area, but we're trying to progress a little bit and get into some more professional style tournaments like the MWT here. The conditions today actually started out really nice, and then just as the day progressed, the winds picked up on us. It was a little tough to stay vertical. Wes made it happen. He took control of the boat and kept us vertical most of the time to be able to put the fish in the water. But it was tough fishing today with these heavy winds down the straight, especially straight down the pipe that we had to deal with today.
Throughout the morning, the winds steadily increased. The waves were rolling in and eventually covered the Detroit River in whitecaps, making for a tough day. Jay brought in the next fish, but it wasn't a walleye. This mud puppy was quite a surprise. Jay is passionate about walleye fishing and about increasing awareness to something very close to his heart.
Yeah, so Ben Fishing is a group of anglers. It started out as just something very small. We had lost a buddy to suicide and knew that once that happened that we had to do something about it. Mental health has become such a huge issue in this country, but it's something that is not talked about. For something that has caused so many problems to families, and when you talk to people out there, you actually see that just about every person that you meet in some way, shape, or form has been affected by it. And it's something that needs to be, risen to the surface. It needs to be talked about. We need to know that it is okay to talk about it. So that's what Ben Fishing is. Ben Fishing is to honor a friend and also to fight for the ones that are struggling out there and just to bring awareness to a major problem that we have right now. But his name was Ben, and so it became Ben Fishing. Kind of one of those, if you're down and out or mentally struggling, for us, that was always that release. Have you been fishing? So that's where that came from, and it's just spread. And it's been neat to see other anglers and people that aren't anglers just support it and understand what we're doing. And it's grown from just a group of friends to people in multiple different states, and we'd just love to see it grow. It's a group of people that are passionate about fishing, but are also utilizing fishing as their platform to talk about this issue.
It's always great to hear of fellow sportsmen and women helping each other with some of life's more difficult struggles, and Ben Fishing is one of those amazing organizations that's doing a commendable job. As we wrapped up our day on the water, Wes talked about what happened out here and some fun happening on shore later today with the Walleye Tour.
Yesterday we had a lot of rain, pushed a lot of fish in the river, so today we were able to catch some fish. Not enough fish to probably win a tournament, but we got some fish. So that was a good start. Tonight will be the Meet the Pros night event that the Michigan Walleye Tour puts on. It's a kids event, allows the kids to come out, meet the pros, hop in the boats, check out all the tournament boats, the gear we use. We kind of just, we actually set up a fake pond for them to kind of fake fish in, show them kind of where fish are usually setting in the lakes, and do some giveaways. So it's a good time with the kids, and yeah, they actually just get to meet some actual walleye professionals.
What a great organization that's helping to keep our fishing heritage alive with the next generation. 147 teams fished the Michigan Walleye Tour Detroit River Tournament last weekend, and the Angler Alliance team finished right in the middle of the pack. They learned a lot and will continue to compete in the next 3 MWT tournaments this year. Good luck to Chris, Wes, Jay, and all the anglers searching for those big fish here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
All right, well, we're here today at kind of a roundtable discussion, something we're hoping to maybe do more of, and we've got some charter boat guys here, some big lake fishermen. Let's just start, just kind of introduce yourself. We'll start with you, Mark. Just kind of tell us a little bit of your kind of fishing resume, how long you've been charter boat captaining, just a little bit about yourself.
All right, well, I kind of grew up in the industry and such. My father was chartering back in the late 70s and early 80s, so I was his first mate. I was autopilot when he didn't have autopilot back then, of course. And then, of course, became a mate and just kind of evolved. And then, you know, once got out, decided, hey, this is fun, and it's a fun way to feed the addiction since the fishery is so awesome. So we started chartering back in the 2005, I believe, is when we actually started. So been going strong ever since, and just enjoying the fishery as a whole.
And you're out of Ludington,
yep,
typically?
Typically out of Ludington, but in the springtime we'll go down to St. Joe's, take advantage of that phenomenal fishery down there. The coho and the lake trout that are down there is just amazing.
Okay. And Adam, what's your story? How long you been doing this?
So I worked as a mate off and on since, I don't know, I was probably 18, 19 years old when I started doing it. My family never big lake fished, so I had a couple times where I went and I started going, and that was it. And so that was probably like the early 2000s, and I've had my captain's license now for about 10 years.
Okay.
And, you know, we fish primarily Ludington. We don't travel very much, and that's where we're at. But we fish from April all the way into October.
And you do a lot of the tournaments then too, or?
We do some local ones.
Okay.
Ludington, we've done Manistee off and on.
Okay.
But for the most part, I have a production company, so I work.
Do you have a real
weekends.
job too?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it a real job, but I don't want people to get a bad impression. But no, so I do a lot of audio and video lighting tech stuff on the weekends. So most of the time, tournament weekends, it's pretty hard for me to take that off.
Okay. And from further down south, from Pentwater, Brent, tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, kind of goes all the way back, I guess, before I even knew I was on the lake. I'd sit on Mom's lap and drive the boat while Dad was fishing. And I guess I about put him over the back one day. I decided to reach up and push the throttle down while I was sitting on Mom's lap. So it started way back. I started first mating, you know, so I actually got into it with Dad for sure.
Okay.
You know, he got me started. Then started first mating part-time for my band director from school.
Okay.
And then that led to working for other guys in town. And then I guess when I was 20, I decided to buy a boat, get my license, and that was 26 years ago.
26
years. Now we have 2 full-time boats. My son started running our second boat 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then we are adding a smaller boat this year that we hope to start something down in Florida.
Wow.
Do some winter fishing down there.
So you're running 2 full-time charter boats.
2 full-time, and then we're going to have a small boat this year, like a 26-footer, to do small groups. So all 3 of them be in Pentwater at City Marina.
And you fish down south too quite a bit too, right?
I'll start down in New Buffalo with 1 boat in early April. Then we'll go to Michigan City, charter out of there for a week and a half, do two weekend tournaments there, and then we'll move to St. Joe from like right after the first weekend of May till middle of May, and we'll do their big tournament, and then charter during the week there.
Okay.
Then our other boat will be in Pentwater starting in April, and Trevor will be fishing either here on that, or he'll be down helping me down south. So
okay, well, I figured we'd start off with something just kind of on the positive side. Some, just to hear from each of you, what are some things you're kind of excited about with the I mean, we're talking primarily Lake Michigan here, obviously, but what are you kind of excited about with the fishery that you've seen maybe a trend over the last couple of years, something that you're kind of really excited about?
Well, I would say it's the great mixed bag that we have out there. Right now, you can get numbers of different fish: your coho, your steelhead, your lake trout. Lake trout fishery is really phenomenal out there. And when the big kings show up, well, then you're going to get those big guys, and like they did here in Ludington, who set a new state record this year. So, that's awesome to get those big guys. But it's kind of a small window to get them. So you always have that mixed bag to go offshore and catch those fish for the fishery. So I like the idea of the mixed bag and the fact that you can go for different things. You can actually offer your clients that, hey, do you want to go for a trophy, or do you want to, get those good table fare fish, which, the lake trout, when I started, you would only smoke them or you'd boil them, and they were like, oh, don't do lake trout. But now you can grill them, and they're really actually tasty for that, fact. So I like the fact that you have that mixed bag out there, that good mixed bag fishery.
I think, really over the last couple years, really probably over the last decade, we've really seen a return of the bait. And we're, I'm sure we have better electronics than we had 10 years ago, but at the same point, we're more consistently marking bait. We're seeing bait around the harbor almost all the time. And there was a time where that wasn't the case. 20 years ago, that was unbelievable, the amount of bait in the lake. And there definitely was a decline, and, they made some good management choices, I think, as far as lowering the plant numbers and kind of letting that bait recover. But to me, I feel like the bait's recovered. I mean, Brent and I have fished in the fall before right next to each other, and both of us marked bait for miles and miles and miles. And it's really good to see that again. So I think that we're beyond that point of keeping the plants low. I think it's time to ramp it back up a little bit at least. Don't go crazy, but ease it back in and keep an eye on it, and which should mean more kings, which I think is what most people want.
So kind of same as Mark. It's nice that, like, typically up here in June we can have some tough fishing. Last year in June we caught a fair amount of coho, which has to be a direct result from them spreading the coho up the shoreline. We're planting coho up here this way now, and we used to never get, like down south we caught all these young coho. Well, you didn't see them up here, and now we're seeing them up here in late May and June, where if we don't have the kings to catch, we could slide out a little bit, and we were getting those coho and steelhead, which made our June fishing this year really good, which sometimes in June up this way our fishing can be a little tough. But so the diversity of that, having a number of kings, which is what everybody wants to catch, but we can only have so many. And the thing with the kings anymore is that it seems like our water's so clear, you get a short window in the morning. So when that window's over, unless the water's warm and they're deep, then you can catch them throughout the day. But when they're in shallow and that water's clear, it shuts off quickly. And if we didn't have them coho and steelhead and lake trout to slide out to, like we'd slide out a half mile, 3/4 of a mile, and we'd start getting coho and steelhead. And so it made a great all-day fishery versus you have a phenomenal hour.
Gotcha.
And then you're twiddling your thumbs. If we didn't have the lake trout to fall back on, or which is super nice, the coho up here now, that was great to fill in the bag with those.
Okay.
So.
Well, and what are some things that you kind of see in the fishery that you're kind of worried about, that maybe the last 3 to 5 years, a trend that you're kind of, maybe not so thrilled about?
I would have to say, going with what Adam had said as far as for the way the management is, they did a great job of it not collapsing like it did over in Lake Huron. They, basically saved it, which is kudos to Jay Wesley and the crew. But you got to look at it and say, okay, there comes a time when you got to start putting those kings back in, and we know that there's politics involved with everything. The consent decree obviously has been a great thing, to get us through this fishery, but now that's come up for renewal in their negotiations and such. So it kind of worries me about, hey, what's going to happen there, because there's not a lot of information out about it, because there is confidentiality agreements, and we don't have that information to find out. And there's a coalition to protect Michigan's resources, which is a great place to go to find the truth of what's going on, but we got to find out what's happening, because we want kings, but there's things that have to be done for all parties for this shared resource. So that's something we got to make sure that we stay on top of.
Yeah, everybody wants kings. Everybody wants, that's what they want to catch. They're exciting to catch. There's nothing, coho doesn't make 400-yard runs. Doesn't happen. Kings do that, and but at the same point, kings are very picky about what they eat. They won't hold in an area where there isn't bait. Where cohos will move offshore. They'll eat bugs. Steelhead, same thing. They'll eat alewives if alewives are around. They'll eat bugs if they're not. They'll eat. You have lake trout that are eating gobies. They're eating sculpin if there are sculpin. They're eating bloater chubs. Whatever, they're not, and they're going to be kind of in the same area. You put lake trout, you have lake trout in Ludington. The trout don't really move very far. You have them at Poundwater. They're just not. They're not a fish that's going to move 20 miles overnight or in a week. Where the kings are more of that pelagic fish that is chasing that suspended bait fish, and wherever that bait fish goes, that's where they're going to go. So you have to have a balance, and I think that they've really understand the balance better now. Unfortunately, with everything, the negotiations that are going on, it's not transparent at all. So there's a lot of misinformation, I think, that's especially on social media, and the coalition is a good place to get good information. Jay Wesley, he can't talk about a lot of things because of the agreements that are in place, but my hat's off to him, because he takes a beating on social media, and he tries to put out good information that's truthful information, and tries to explain to the best of his ability what's going on. I wouldn't want to do that. That job would be pretty thankless. But I think people should really, I challenge people to gather truthful information and be involved in these coalitions. If you believe in your fishery, be involved in your sport fishery in your area. If you want to make a difference in the fishery, be involved.
One thing I always said that it'd be nice if the DNR would do, which I'm not. I think the DNR, they saved our fishery. We still have a world-class fishery with what we have, even at the low, which we're pretty fortunate in our area of the lake that we have some great rivers to put us some fish when they weren't putting them in. And I think our numbers in this general area might be skewed to what actually seen in the other part of the lake, because we have a great section here to fish. But I would, like myself, who I'm out there 200 times a year, and the full time, why don't we ever get a call from the DNR or the biologist, ask us what we are seeing? I always wondered why don't they ask us, which we're out there every day to see what's going on. Why don't we ever get a phone call to ask what are we seeing? What do you think? Because what better who to ask than the people who are out there every day, And then, like I said, I'm not bashing the DNR. Like I said, they saved our fishery as far as I'm concerned, but they just need to keep it a diverse fishery. So if something comes back like BKD again, and something happens to the kings, we got coho and steelhead and lake trout to fall back on. If the lamprey or something happens to the lake trout crash, we have kings and coho and steelhead. Our late September, early October fishing last year offshore was phenomenal. Best I've seen in 20 years. You could go offshore and catch pretty much as many steelhead as you wanted to catch. The conditions were perfect. We had a bunch of north wind, set the water up, and we had a great break. And it was, you could find a mile stretch and go back and forth and just catch fish all day. It was crazy. It was like our best charters of the year. The beginning of the year, we were catching 30 fish every day down south, and then at the end of the year, right before we pulled the boat, you're catching 30 fish a day. I mean, it was just a great start and a great finish.
Special thanks to the guys for sitting down to this round table. We will have at least 1 or 2 more segments over the next couple of weeks. Next week, we will talk specifically about their thoughts on the stocking program here in Michigan.
Thanks so much for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you stick around in the next few weeks. There's lots of exciting springtime action coming your way. We'll be doing a little pan fishing on Harson's Island. We'll be doing some big lake fishing over on Lake Michigan, and we'll be gearing up for turkeys. If you'd like to see where we are and where we're headed next, you can always check us out online.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Online is always a great way to kind of keep tabs on us. You can do that through our website, social media platforms, YouTube, lots of places you could be checking us out. And if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully you'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by.
Do you dream of somewhere bigger than your backyard? You can get there with Greenstone. Whether you want to hunt, fish, hike, or just watch the sunset, we're ready to help you own your place in the great outdoors. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com.
By Alta Equipment Company, providing sales, rentals, service, and parts because uptime matters. From earth moving to landscaping and light construction, Alta offers over 50 brands across 7 Michigan locations to serve you. More information online or 844-GO, 2,
Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. From the Keweenaw down to St. Joe, Kalamazoo, east to Monroe, to St. Marie and back again. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above,